Martin, hi. Could you give us an update on James McCarthy first of all, because we know he's been struggling but has been training the last couple of days?
Yeah, he's trained the last couple of days and he's feeling not too bad at all. Obviously hasn't played for a little while, but he's fit, and if selected, he's ready to go.
And you don't feel that it would be a risk that he hasn't played club football in the last month?
Not in terms of what do you mean by a risk?
I think his injury might reoccur, for example.
Oh well, I mean, I think he's over the injury in that aspect. It's more fitness than anything else that would be the concern. So he's no, he wants to, if selected, he wants to go.
Do you feel unfortunate this week with the amount of injuries that you've had, or is that just par for the course?
That's par for the course. Yeah, and we've had major players like Seamus and John Walters, different stages during the campaign of the Euros, missed games, and not too many in their case, but important stages of the competition. We've had other big players as well too missing at different times. We've had to get through that, and as I said to the players, no one remembers in about 3 weeks' time whether we played or we didn't play. We have to try and get through the game. It's a difficult match for us, but no, that's, as you say, par for the course.
They've been difficult opponents for us in the past, and yet, being the home side, we're clearly ranked higher than them as well. You want to be on the front foot, but through the game, do you think tactically you want to be flexible and be able to change systems, perhaps?
Well, I think that's not the first thought in my head about changing systems. You want to get on the front foot, as you say. Want to try and go and attack. We're playing at home. The onus is on us to try and attack, which we've done in all the games that we've played at home in my time, anyway. And sometimes you are driven back, not because you want to be driven back, but because the opposition actually have the ball. So you can't have it all the time. The opposition, as you say, we've had difficult games against them in the past. And tomorrow will be definitely no exception.
Martin, just to go back to James McCarthy, when he was first selected, Ronald Koeman did sound slightly concerned. As an experienced club manager yourself, can you understand that?
I would listen to the player, and the players come over here and train. Hasn't played for a couple of weeks. Which is the question that was asked. Would fitness be a concern? Of course, lasting the match would be a concern. If the injury is cleared up, then I wouldn't see that as a problem. I've been involved in club management for quite some considerable time. Less so as an international manager. I have never played anyone here who has arrived and not been properly fit and against their will to play. It has not been the case, never been the case, and in fact I'm quite, actually, as an international manager, I've been pretty lenient about those particular things.
Seamus, you were in the exact same boat last month. Just tell us from a player's perspective how it works.
As a player, you just want to play. Club wants you fit, country wants you fit, but at the end of the day, as a player, and I can only speak for myself, if I'm fit and I'm not feeling any niggles, no problems, and I've no concerns, I'll play, whether that's for Ireland or Everton, and there's no complications or big dramas about it. If I'm fit, I'll play, and that's where it should be.
Martin, with the injuries you do have, it's the biggest test yet in terms of your squad and your depth.
Well, I think it's a big test. Of course, I think it's a big test. As if anyone here had watched the Georgia-Austria game, they caused Austria a lot of problems during the course of the game, and could have forced an equaliser. In fact, could have scored first in the game before Austria had scored. It's a difficult game. I think anybody who watched the games just in the last couple of years would realise that this is it. Difficult matches for us. Georgia will take points of teams without doubt, and I would say, considering if you're talking about rankings, which I don't go along with anyway, but if you're talking about rankings, then they've got to be the best ranked side playing in the particular groups. There's no question about that. So the games are difficult. We knew that there from the beginning. We've got to deal with it now. Doesn't matter. It would be great if we had everyone fit and ready to go. It's not the case. We'll deal with it. We'll deal with it accordingly.
Do you feel
we'll be ready for it?
Sorry. Do you feel like the Georgia games could be decisive? Like you could argue they were in the last group with Scotland. Like one of the 4 front runners will drop points against Georgia, and it could be key.
Well, I said before the teams will drop points, and this could be one with the lowest points total, simply because that's what will happen. You know? And but I think the games are difficult, and I think they're it's not as if to say that we've got a 38 league game, a season to claw things back. Every result is important for us. Every game's important, so we've got to be ready for it. And we are not in a position. I don't think we've ever been here. I don't think Ireland have ever been in a position to treat anybody like that. Anybody, it doesn't really matter. And we certainly wouldn't be treating Georgia lightly because they've got some excellent players. Excellent players.
Well, Martin, what role do you see Wes Houlihan playing tomorrow? And is he the type of player needed to quite
I don't think you should be asking me that question, considering I haven't mentioned or haven't talked about the team. Wes Houlihan is an important member of the side that I can generalise about, as he has been here for the last 2.5 years. Really important member of the side. He can his contributions are immense when he plays for us. At times, other games that I think we've talked about this here before, particularly at home, if we want to open teams up, he's been expert at that, very, very good, and he is still, regardless of his age, he's still an important member of the team, whether he starts or comes off the bench. His contributions in the Euros was immense. I thought his game against Sweden was the best game he's actually ever played for in my time here, and he may well have played even better than that there before I came in.
Seamus Martin mentioned there that Georgia are difficult opponents. What do you expect from them tomorrow?
Yeah, just like the boss said, we know a lot about them from the last campaign, and we needed a little bit of magic from Ed McGeady out there, and at home as well. It took a split till Johnny got his goal, and you know they beat Spain not so long ago in a friendly match, and they've ran Germany close, Austria close, so it's a tough game. It's not going to be a walkover by any means, and we're gonna have to all be on our game to get a result tomorrow night.
Martin, your team has struggled when to play to their potential when they've taken the lead in games. Is that a concern, and has it been addressed?
With what?
You've struggled to play to your potential, I believe.
Well, I disagree with you. I don't see it like that. If you're talking about taking the lead against Sweden and having an own goal towards the end of the game, you're talking about we didn't take the lead against Belgium.
Well, I'm actually thinking more like, is there a natural...
But these are the latest games that we played in. We didn't... we beat Italy, and we took the lead against France, who ended up almost winning the competition. So I don't see it like that at all. I don't. We took the very, very early lead against Serbia. Didn't hold on to it. We scored in the first minute, second minute against Serbia. It's a long way to go after that, 88 minutes. We fell behind 2-1, equalising goal and a very, very dubious penalty. I've seen it only 100 times now. Very dubious. Could not have been given. And we fought back. We fought back against Serbia, away from home. So I don't see that at all.
Would you not agree that there's a bigger intensity in the team when a goal is needed? That, you know,
Sorry?
that when you've been chasing games and require a goal?
No, I don't see that at all. I think you can read anything you want into any sort of situation and feel like, no, I don't see that at all.
Martin, tomorrow night your opposing manager, you're up against a very experienced opposing manager in Vladimir Weiss. Obviously he's had a lot of scalps in the game himself, in the Champions League, steering Slovakia to the World Cup in 2010, and I think they knocked out Italy to qualify for the last 16. How do you feel about going up against a manager like that?
Well, I think that, I'm not inexperienced myself.
Absolutely not.
No. I've enjoyed, if you ask me, have I enjoyed international management? Yes, I have. And one of the main reasons that I've enjoyed it is because we qualified. We qualified for France, and we had some really great performances out there, including beating Italy. But I don't look at it like that. I think the most important thing, I think sometimes we've forgotten in this day and age, the game's about players. The game's about players, and that has to be recognised sometime again. You know, you're asking about enjoyment, and I've had a really excellent career as a player and as a manager. I've enjoyed it, which I've enjoyed most, playing. Seamus might be at some stage or another taking his coaching badges. I hope he takes them when he's 49, and play as long as he can, because playing is the best thing you can do. Honestly, it really is, and this is second best by a good way in terms of management. So I don't think that for instance, in the Italy game, I never felt as if that I'm up against Conte in the match. Excellent manager, proven himself, really great. I felt the players were there. My job is to prepare them, get them ready, try and play as strongly as they possibly can, try and play to their absolute maximum potential. And that game against Italy, that's great. So did I get great delight in them, but I got delight out of the performance of the players. Honestly, that was it. And the fact is that we qualified, and that we kept going, and that we conjured a goal when we most needed it.
And Seamus, if the manager does select you tomorrow night,
He will be. So.
Okay, tomorrow night then you're going to make your 40th appearance for Ireland. How do you feel your game has come on in the green jersey?
Look, to play 40 games for Ireland is a great honour. I didn't know, but hopefully we can finish it with a win. But I think you're always trying to improve yourself, and obviously to get to the tournament was a big achievement for us all, and we all learnt a lot from it. And as I said, playing under different managers as well has improved me in different ways. But you always want to do better. You never think that you're the finished article. And as I said, I just want to keep improving, and keep learning, and try and get to this World Cup.
Seamus, you played against Serbia last month with very little football behind you. James may have to do the same tomorrow night. How difficult is that, and how much is it adrenaline that gets you through towards the end of the game?
Yeah, look, I was desperate to play. To play for your country, you're desperate to play, and there's no doubt about it. Towards the end of the game, especially the way the pitch was digging up, it was quite hard to play the way we wanted, and the legs were getting heavy towards the end, so it was difficult. But we got good lads around you, and when you're getting tired and you see Johnny Walters making a 60-yard run back to help you out, that's what we're all about. And when lads are tired, you try and dig in and help each other out, and the lads got me through that game in the end.
Martin, given that you're a little bit short, I suppose, in that central area of midfield with injuries to the likes of Harry Arthur and Steve McQuinn, if James is okay to start to play tomorrow night, does that give you a little bit more flexibility as to where you play Robbie Brady?
Yeah, that is definitely a thought. I mean, there's thoughts about Robbie being a left-sided midfield player, also playing at full-back, coming and seeing the whole game in front of him. But I think that Robbie is prepared to play anywhere he feels as if he's confident enough now, even defensively, to deal with situations like that, which is great. And he has been a very important player to us in the last couple of seasons, but had a big tournament out in France, and obviously wants to try and live up to that. So with James, I'll have a look at James tomorrow morning, see how he is, see how he's come through today. And but I think that the more players you have available to you, the more flexibility you will have in team selection and positional selection.
We mentioned there Georgia and the fact that the group could hinge on what the bigger sides do against Georgia. Sort of with that in mind, do you look upon this week as 6 points a must?
No, I don't look at it like that. We've not even mentioned Moldova at all. We don't have the time, and I would be very surprised if Moldova even had a thought about us until they play Serbia. I really don't think that that's the case. I think because it's so condensed, it's the length of time that you have, and I think that if you have players' minds wandering to another game when you haven't even started the first match, I think it's highly dangerous. But it has. I know this year from my own career. When some managers would be talking about 2 games, let's say over Easter, and starting to talk about a second game before we played the first one. Next thing you know, you're beaten in the first game, and you don't know where you stand. This idea of talking about 6 points, every point will be hard earned. I keep saying this, and it's true. You, looking at me, have a totally different viewpoint. That's fine. I've no problem. I respect that totally. But I have to look at it in the manner in which I see it. And I see these games as being very difficult for us, because games are difficult for us. They are. It doesn't matter who we're playing. They're difficult. But I've got some really, really good players at my side, and that's comforting to know. Players like the fellow beside me, other players playing in the team. But as Seamus said, we have to play to our maximum to win games, international matches, and I don't care who we play.
After seeing them long live.
Martin, just looking at the team they played against Austria, it's virtually the same one that came to Dublin the last time, but apart from up front, they've got a very young looking attacking 3 behind their striker. With the energy and the legs they might bring to the match, are you kind of a little bit concerned about that threat? Does it bring a different threat, and also does it temper your selection?
I can say, and I agree with you. You know, I think that I think that the side that played against Austria contained about 7 players who played against us. Little lad who scored the goal didn't play in the second game, played in the first match, I think, if that's the case. But I take your point entirely, but I'll get back to it and say to you, the game's difficult for us. We know we have to try and absolutely and utterly concentrate in the game. Set pieces, everything. We must be able to defend the corner kicks and free kicks properly. We've got to deal with all these situations. And I get back to the game in Serbia. That was a difficult match. Serbia are a good side. I know I'll go venture to the point and say that anybody who finishes in front of them will go very, very close to winning the group. Does that mean that Georgia are also rounds? Absolutely not. Not at all. I don't treat teams like that there because, as I said to you, too long, too much experience. It's not just that. I think that. If you look now, it's not as if I'm going back 10 or 12 years to deal with this here. The last 2 years, we had difficult games against them. The game here in Dublin was very difficult. They had a couple of chances as well too, that on another day might have taken them. We get the goal when we most needed it, which was brilliant. A great piece of work by Jeff Hendrick and followed up by John Walters. Those 3 points are vital, as all the points are vital in this group.